All right, so today we are moving on to 8.5. And today's lesson is about factoring quadratic trinomials when a equals 1. So first of all, it is very, very specific today. First of all, I need to talk about standard form of that quadratic trinomial, right? So standard form. Quadratic means our highest exponent is a 2. Trinomial means there's 3 terms, right? So the standard form is always in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are your coefficients. Now we are going to take that and change it, factor it into 2 separate binomials. So what we were doing the other day where we had 2 binomials, put it in the box, multiplied them together, and got out a trinomial. Now we're going in reverse, going backward. Oh. Yes, we're unboxing. No, good try though. All right, yes, we are exactly doing that. We're unboxing. All right, but today's the first part of unboxing, so today's is really easy. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about these steps. I'm going to move that up a little bit. Step number 1 is you always undistribute any greatest common factor. Now that's not going to come into play today, but it is the first step to our factoring, and we're only doing the first 5 steps today, and then we're going to add on later. Okay, but we got to get the first 5 down solid first. All right? Step number 2, draw an X. Step number 3, we're going to fill in the X. This is how we fill it in. Okay? On the top, it is the last number times the first. So the very top is A times C. So those coefficients, the first one and the last one, we multiply together. The middle coefficient is what goes on the bottom. So B goes down here. Step 4, find the sides of the X. And then step 5 today, if a equals 1, which means that leading coefficient is 1, then write the factors. All right, so here's what I mean by all of these steps. Let's talk about them a little more specifically. And all of these steps are going to make sense as soon as we do this, okay? Good try, Joel. All right, so let's say I have x squared plus 5x plus 6. First of all, there is no greatest common factor I can take out of the whole thing, right? Okay, so then the next thing I do is I draw my x. Last number times the first, or 6 times 1 is 6. That goes on top. The middle number goes on the bottom. What are the sides of my x? 2 and 3. 2 and 3, 3 and 2, doesn't matter which direction you put them. Now, since this leading coefficient is a 1, magical, wonderful 1, we get to write our factors. So you're going to have 2 sets of parentheses. All right, the first spot is the variable we are using, in this case x. So I have x and I have x. The second spot is the sides of my x. So this side is a positive 2. This side is a positive 3. That's it. Yes, we haven't done an example yet. Okay, so that's what we're doing today.
Okay.
All right, so it really is not. Here we go with the, what? Yes. Example number 1. This is your 14 through 18 to begin with. All right, we're going to factor the expression and check your answer. Now, it asks you to do it through the entire thing. I am only asking you to do it in this first section. Okay? So, let's go with something that looks like this. How about y squared minus 4y minus 21. All right, again, there's no greatest common factor I can take out, so I draw my x. Last number times the first is negative 21. That goes on top. Middle number goes on the bottom. What are the sides of my x? Yeah, 3 and negative 7. Or you can put negative 7 and 3. Doesn't matter, right? Okay, now my leading coefficient is a 1, so I can draw my factors. I have y's for both of them. This side of my x is positive 3. This side of my x is a negative 7. Now I'm going to quickly check it. Well, how do I check? There you go, box. So I have y plus 3 times y minus 7. Y times y is y squared. Y times 3 is 3y. Y times negative 7 is negative 7y. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. So we get y squared. Negative 7y and 3y is negative 4y and negative 21.
Looks like it matches to me.
It does. All right. Let's move on to the next section. Example number 2. All right. This is going to cover your 20 and 22. The directions in your book ask you to complete. All right, so I want to explain the directions, what they're asking, and what I expect. All right, so they might give you something that looks like this. K squared minus 2k minus 48 equals k minus 8 times k plus, and they leave a blank. Okay? Hold on. So they want you to complete it and fill in the blank. However, to do that, we still have to do we got to do the x. Okay? So just like every other one, can I take out a greatest common factor? No. So I draw my x. What number is going to go on the top of my x? Good. What number goes on the bottom of my x? Good. The sides of my x are? Good. Negative 8 and 6. So I draw my parentheses. I have k is what we're using this time. This side of my x is negative 8. This side of my x is positive 6.
And 6 is the fill in the blank.
Yeah, so you don't really have to worry about filling the blank. It's just kind of there, kind of give you a little hint as to what would help fill it in. Okay? All right, example number 3. 24 through 30. And we are going to factor the expression. It does say to check your work. You do not have to check it in this section, just the very first one, like I told you in your notes, okay? All right, so let's do one that looks more like this. Let's say I have d squared Minus 13D plus 30. Okay. Okay, we cannot take out a greatest common factor, so we draw our x. What number, Trenton, goes on top?
30.
Good. What number, Joel, goes on the bottom?
-13.
Excellent. Keegan, what are the sides of my x?
-10 and -3.
Perfect. All right. Is my leading coefficient 1?
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and draw our parentheses. The variable I have this time is d. The left side of my x is -10. The right side of my x is -3. And I'm done.
Oh, neat.
Questions so far?
No.
So far, what should I see on every single problem?
Not,
Absolutely. It's not a lot of work, is it?
no, not at all.
Okay. But I should have an x for every one of them.
Alright.
Now, we're going to add a little bit. If you color less than the other day, the last ones you multiplied together had 2 variables in them, didn't they?
Unfortunately.
So guess what we have to undo now? 2 variables.
So it's 2x.
No, just one x. Okay, actually, it's super easy. Gotta trust me. So here we go with example number 4. And we're going to do 32 through 40. It is a big chunk, I agree. We're going to do a couple of these, though. Okay? So I want you to factor. Let's say we factor, how about x squared minus 8xy minus 33y squared. All right, so again, can I take out a greatest common factor? All right, so I'm going to draw my x just like I did before. Last number times the first. What's my coefficient? -33. What's my middle coefficient? Good. What are the sides of my x? 3 and -11. I completely agree. Good job. Now, is my leading coefficient still a 1? Okay, so I'm going to do my 2 parentheses. My first variable is an x, so that goes in the first spot. My last variable is a y. Guess where that goes? In the last spot. And now we fill in our x. I have a +3, and I have a -11. X plus 3y and x minus 11y.
Easy, so easy.
Let's try another one.
Alright.
Let's say I have w squared minus 14wz, I don't know, plus 40z squared. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw my x today. Last number times the first number. 40 times 1 is 40. Middle number is -14. Sides of my x. Good. -10 and -4. Nice job. Is my leading coefficient 1? Yep. So I'm going to do my 2 sets of parentheses. My first variable is w. So I put a w in the front of both. My final variable is z. I'm going to put a z at the end of both. The left side of my x is a -10. The right side of my x is a -4. All right. Questions?
Not a single one.
This is easy.
Feeling confident.
Now, hold on.
There's a man, one more example.
Hold on. Now, before you keep going, number 30, it is a word problem, but it is done exactly like everything else. So I just want to touch on that very quickly. All right? So, it says for number 30, the area of a rectangular desk is given by the trinomial. Gives you a trinomial. It wants to know what are the possible dimensions of the desk. So, let's do example 5 here real quick. Let's say I tell you you have a rectangle whose area is, let's say x squared minus x minus 20. And I want to know what the dimensions are. Well, the dimensions are two things multiplied together, right? Well, isn't that what we're doing is we're factoring it. Same exact thing. Okay, so what am I going to do with this? I'm going to draw my x. What number goes on the top? What number goes on the bottom? Very good. What are the sides? No. No. 4 and negative 5. There you go. 4 and negative 5. All right. So then my leading coefficient's a 1, so I'm going to do my two binomials. I have x and x. I have a positive 4, and I have negative 5. So either the length or the width is x plus 4, and the other is x minus 5. There. Well, no, it's a different one in there. Good try, though, Trent. All right? So I'm just saying that although it's a word problem, you can do it exactly the same. Everything's the same. Now, you guys have a lot of time, okay, which means my concern is that you're going to all get really loud and off task because you have a lot of time. Please make sure you're focused in working on this in case you have any questions, because this is just the beginning part of how to factor. So I've got to make sure we have this down, okay?